What are you doing in here?
Oh, hi, John. What's going on, man?
What?
Dude, hang loose. Gotta get ready for this Tiny Moving Parts record, man. I'm serious. Like, here I had to break out the wetsuit and everything, man. This record's called Swell. Gonna catch some gnarly waves. Totally a surf record from what I understand.
I'm pretty sure the entire band is from the Midwest and has probably never even seen a wave.
Fuck it, dude. If they can tap a guitar like I can ride a wave, it's gonna be one gnarly ass day, dude. Hang loose. I can't... Yeah, I'm doing it, but, hey, maybe I should have copped the, XL, one of these wetsuits. Can you zip me, bro? Sup everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of the fourth album by Tiny Moving Parts. A band that I find a bit hard to categorize, but traces of emo, maybe a little bit of post-hardcore, alternative, rock. If you've heard some parodies by Jared Alonji and Canadian Softball, you might have heard stuff that kinda sounds like Tiny Moving Parts, and at this point in their career, honestly, I think they're making bigger steps than they've ever made before. I haven't been into these guys in the past, not that I've heard a ton of their material, it just maybe felt a little too over the top in places, but with the whole emo thing being in place, I like that, and the fact that, like, they wear it on their sleeves, essentially. It's tied to them, and the passion from the lead singer's voice is kinda charismatic. You can't fault the guy for trying really damn hard. This is their fourth time around the sun when it comes to records, and I wasn't, like, exactly planning on checking this out, but it worked out that I was having a pretty slow week in terms of albums that I wanted to cover, and I decided to give this thing a go. And I was actually pleasantly surprised, and I'll say this, go into this record Swell with the mentality, let's have some fun. Don't start trying to pick apart every single line. Don't break down every instrumental and wonder, has this been done before? Don't try to look at it from that angle. That's really the best advice that I can give you. Swell is a record that definitely does a good job at slapping hard. This is a record that brings it in terms of its instrumental. It brings it in terms of the charisma and the way that it turns up the emotion dial to 11 at times. Some of these tracks are a bit too grabby in the sense that, like, the end of some of these tracks, like Whale Watching, for example, the shouts just keep going, and it's like you think the track is fading out, and then it's like, rah, 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 and I'm like, all I'm saying, maybe tone it down a little bit here and there. I mean, they're doing good things, but maybe tone it back a little bit here and there. If we look to the start of this record, Swell, there's definitely a running theme, a great start to the album, if you will, because it opens up on one of the singles, Applause. This is actually the song that got me to check it out. I saw this mentioned in a forum, and then I was like, alright, I have to give the album a go at this point because it's very well done, it's very catchy, I loved the music video for it as well, a whole lot of fun there on a boat, but this song in general is just well executed. The guitar tones are great, the spirit that they capture reminds me a little bit of the 2000s, occasionally of bands like La Dispute, except on maybe, you know, maybe not quite as serious of a level. Then we get into Smooth It Out, and I love the guitars there. If we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, the production is fantastic on that one. It really lets that guitar shine, but also a nice drum groove as well, which is something that in this style of music, I don't always find myself drawn to that, but Smooth It Out is one of those cuts where I have to pay attention. And then immediately after that, we get a couple of other great tracks, including Caution, which was the lead single released back in November. This song right here definitely has more of an emotive appeal and vibe to it. It does draw you in with that allure, so if you're into more like emo-tinged music, with lyrics that do hit a bit harder than some of the other ones on this record, then I have to really highly praise and suggest Caution to you. Look, the themes wear a bit thin, and obviously this record isn't trying to be like the next great step for rock or emo or anything like that. It's just another progression within this band, and if you can turn out these outside voices, even the ones that I have to turn off, saying, oh, you shouldn't like this, or oh, you need to look into the lyrics further, or maybe this needs to be dissected. Maybe it doesn't. I'm definitely not into cuts like Wildfire or It's Too Cold Tonight, which somehow lingers and feels longer than it is. That and parts of Whale Watching do drag a bit for me, honestly. And then the closing moment, Warm Hand Splash. I feel mixed on it. I feel a little bit mixed because we get to the concluder of this album and it seems like it's trying to thematically kind of conclude and go out on the right note, but I just don't know if they get there in terms of the instrumentals. It just feels like a collection, like they stuck all the guitar tones and everything else together in that ending track that they had done on tracks 1 through 9, and it doesn't exactly feel fresh as a closer on this album. I don't know how well it works there. But right before that, we get Wishbone, which is another one of my favorite moments here. It's a more sentimental, down-to-earth moment that features lighter vocals and a really gripping instrumental because it builds atmosphere, and that is something that this band can definitely do. Sure, you've got those Midwest-tinged guitar tones, and they're tapping all over the place, but sometimes it's great to slow things down while just throwing in a little guitar rattle here and there. I like the tapping here. I like the fact that it does feel a bit more refined, but still awesome. I like that. Every time I hear it, I'm kind of a sucker for it because it builds their sound. It's unique, not to them necessarily, but to that style of music, and I think that they do pull it off well. I have respect for their sound and their music, even if I don't love everything here on Swell. I still think it's a swell album that you should check out. Me personally, I'm gonna rate this thing a 3.5. I'm gonna say it's gonna have a mild replay factor. I don't think it's gonna be huge, but there's gonna be tracks that you take away here and you're gonna listen to them in the summer. I can pretty much guarantee you that. If you wanna see more reviews for smaller bands, then please support me on Patreon at that annotation in the corner or else the top link down below. With the funding there, I'm able to go out and do other things that I wouldn't normally do because, you know, they don't get as many views. Anyways, if you would like to see another recent review right there, socials in the description, and I'll see you soon on ARTV.